Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Jonathan Hood. Along with Jonathan Hood, I'm Jeff Rickard here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. Happy to have you along. Jay Hood. It's been at least a couple of weeks since we've seen each other.
That's exactly right. We got plenty to talk about before we are done tonight. 3 hours of fun with Jeff Rickard. You know what? That's my kind of thing when it comes to Hanukkah Wednesday, spending time with you.
It's trending. Hanukkah,
Oh, yeah.
Hanukkah, fun with Jeff Rickard. It's all over the internet right now. You can't get away from that. Hey, happy to have you all along today. We're going to be looking forward to speaking with all of you as we move along today at 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance, and we've got lots of great guests for you today. They'll all appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. So, Jonathan, let's get right to it. Little NBA. I know you and I are both big-time NBA hoop heads. And last night, you had the Lakers and the Knicks. And granted, it was not Showtime versus, I don't know, pick any iteration of the last 3 decades that you want to choose from the Knicks. But people were paying attention. It was a Tuesday night. TVs were on. People were looking at it. And it still doesn't quite deliver, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's not the same. But here's the thing that I can take solace in. What I saw, Jeff, last night is just you're seeing young teams develop. All right, it's a 10-16 team against a 14-13 team. But what I take out of it, because it's the NBA, is that you're looking forward to seeing what the next big thing is. That's what sports is for me, is that we know who the established stars are, but who are the stars of tomorrow? And watching the Lakers and the Knicks, I saw a lot of stars for tomorrow. I enjoyed watching what the Lakers could be and what the Knicks could be.
Well, of course, the backdrop last night, you have Porzingis, who's young and upcoming, and then you got the rookie LeVar Ball, and you know, he's in the news for all the wrong reasons, mostly because of his dad. And he's been, look, LeVar Ball and his sons, I guess, 2 are off to Lithuania now. So we're looking at our guy last night who's just trying to get his groove on and play point guard. And here's his dad, LeVar, who's just always going and going and going. And it has something to do with something all the time. He's one of those guys, and you know these guys, there's always something going on. They're never really in trouble, but there's just always something happening, right? Yeah. And it's never good. So the Lakers have asked LeVar Ball can you take it back a notch? Can you just chill? Any chance whatsoever that he listens to the Lakers and says, yeah, man, I can cool it off for a little while?
No, it's not happening. And you know what? There's guys like LeVar Ball in my family. I think most families have maybe that one person that just loves to talk. You know, you can hear him from miles away. Someone's jovial, loves to be able to talk. With LeVar Ball, a lot of it is tongue in cheek. A lot of it is loud and boisterous. You know, he's a lout. He doesn't mind being in the spotlight. But, you know, for me, he could be whoever he wants to be. I'm just concerned about his kids, all 3 of them. Because with Lonzo Ball, it's not about on the floor. It's about whether or not that his dad's overshadowing what Lonzo could be. Same thing with his other 2 kids is going to play in Lithuania. So for me, Jeff, I know who he is. I've seen guys like that in my family, friends that were just loud just to be heard. I'm just hoping that he doesn't overshadow what their kids could be on the basketball floor.
How'd you like to be Jello, by the way? Hey, I got to meet with you guys. You know how you're going to take road trips to like Tucson and Phoenix and Seattle? Yeah, you guys are going to Lithuania now.
Yes.
I bet they were so excited. So, look, LeVar Ball, we all know who he is, what he talks about, what's been going on, right? There's something new all the time. He was talking with our own Coley Harvey about whether or not he might be the Father of the Year candidate. At least Coley was talking about him.
Are you concerned about them wanting you to not be as outspoken?
You know what? That's what y'all saying. But behind closed doors, man, we got a great communication, man. People going to try to twist what I'm saying, what they saying. But it's not going to happen because we're going to get these W's. Here we come.
He's turned his attention to W's now. We're not talking about shoes or Lithuania or getting kids out of jail in China with the help of the President of the United States. It's about W's. It's about W's now.
Yeah, that's all. He's just a guy that's a carnival barker that just says, step right up. The guy that's at the circus, Jeff, that just says, hey, step right up. Yeah, you can win a prize. You can win millions of dollars. That's what he is. He's just trolling everybody. Yeah, listen, when you watch him speak, it's usually with a smile on his face because he knows that he's just trying to he's like full hyperbole, just continues just to want to get that attention. And really, it's not about him. It's about his kids.
Well, Ramona Shelburne, who knows the Lakers and the NBA as well as anybody, senior writer for ESPN.com. She was on Golic and Wingo this morning, and the guys asked her about what is the current status. Like, I wonder if this was like a Facebook status. What would the relationship be like between LeVar Ball and the Lakers?
The Lakers essentially said to him, hey, man, you got to tone it down when we're talking about the criticism of the coach and other players. We want you to be able to say whatever you want to say. You're a private citizen. We knew what we were doing when we were drafting you. We knew who you were. The Lakers are one of those teams that are sort of they like the drama, right? It's L.A. In Hollywood, like the worst that you can be is boring. So they're fine with all of it as long as you still play well on the court. But when you say negative stuff about your teammates and the coach, it does create a negative atmosphere. And so what they asked him was just keep it positive. And if you have something negative to say, come to us first before you talk to the media. And last night when I asked LeVar about it, he said, yeah, that's about right. That's about right. I mean, don't get it twisted, though. This was a really good thing that they talked to me, and I felt really good about that. And the lines of communication were open. But I'm still going to say what I'm going to say.
When's the last time a professional franchise had to go to some player's dad and go, dude, we got to talk? I don't remember that. Do you?
I don't either. The only similarity would be the Williams sisters, and that's just tennis. That's not even a team. It's a tandem.
But we haven't heard from
girls.
Richard for years and years. Once they became full-fledged adults, we really didn't hear from him all that much.
Well, they kind of X'd him out of their life.
They took care of it themselves.
Well, yeah, because it's smart marketing. It's like, for us to grow, we have to make sure that dad's in the backdrop, and that's actually a good thing. I will not allow LeVar Ball to overshadow my enjoyment of the NBA. Locally in Chicago, they asked me, did you want to talk to LeVar Ball? I turned the interview down, Jeff. Turn it down.
Because what relevance would he have to basketball in Chicago?
Well, just the idea of just having him on because you know why? Because all he wants to do is argue and push his brand. And I already know the Big Baller brand. We all know what it is, but my focus is not on him. As a matter of fact, it's not even on Lonzo. It's on Kyle Kuzma. He's the better player. He's got his head down, scoring 19 points last night. He just gives you a consistent effort, and Ball's the guy that's sometimes is struggling. So, I mean, for the Lakers, from their standpoint, they could either continue to deal with this or cut out the problem. And the problem would be if the father's overshadowing Lonzo Ball, then Lonzo won't be with the team for the long haul. That's how I see it.
Look, at the end of the day, if this was any other guy, LeVar has his kid, right? And if his son was just a run-of-the-mill NBA top 10 rookie, he'd kind of be quietly finding his way through the league. But instead, because of his dad, people are dissecting every quarter that he plays. Was this a good pass? Should he pass more? How bad is his shot? Is that little hitch in his shot going to affect everything? It's given him no opportunity to just kind of naturally find his place in the NBA.
When you have a boisterous father like that, that's what happens. And it's really unfair for Lonzo in that regard.
I feel bad for the young man. I'll be honest with you. He didn't do anything to ask for this.
What about his other kids? They're not going to be coached by Sarunas Marciulionis. What about them? They're going to be in Lithuania by themselves, pretty much.
Can you extradite
the same team?
Can you extradite a United States citizen from Lithuania to China if things go badly? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend. Can we get a legal expert to weigh in on that? We got any lawyers listening right now?
Yes.
Can you do that?
I mean, how's that going to work, Jeff? Really, seriously.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know. Oh man. So they had this meeting. They've asked him to move on. Next thing you know, he's saying, it's all about the W's. It's just all about the W's.
Okay, great. Well, as long as
he's a team player now.
Well, that's good. But it's unfortunate that he has already criticized Luke Walton, criticized the coaching staff, saying they don't know how to coach my son. That's not about coaching.
Now he can make
That's about ability.
I want to see him courtside next to Jack, wearing nothing but a Luke Walton classic NBA jersey. That'd be good. It'll all be good at that point in time.
I think that we're missing the point here. I think the point is that you have two of your sons in Lithuania. Go up there. That way you're never a story here in the United States. Just stay up there with the other two kids.
He's going to own Lithuania media by the time it's done.
Yes. They won't understand anything you're saying, but you can say whatever you want. I think that would be best for the Lakers, for him to just stay with his other two sons.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Paul George, PG-13, makes his return to the Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis later on tonight. And there will be people waiting for him there, Jay Hood. And I don't think that they're going to be happy with him.
Hold on a second now. What do you mean by that? There'll be people waiting for him?
There's a lot of jilted fans waiting inside the Fieldhouse for PG-13 to suit up for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And see, there were a lot of hurt people in Indianapolis when Paul George originally came out. Like, he was playing, just so give you context, he was playing in a local celebrity charity softball tournament like on Tuesday. And he told all the news cameras, man, I want to figure out a way to stay in Indianapolis. This is my home. This is where I want to play. In so many words. Mm-hmm. He was kind of playing the name game, but that's what he was saying. He was saying what people wanted to hear. Well, it comes out about 48 hours later. I don't know if his agent leaked it. I don't know if he leaked it. That he wanted to go play for the Los Angeles Lakers. And the next thing you know, the Pacers are on the defensive. They think they're going to lose him. They got to make a trade for him. So they decide to trade him for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, right? And everybody in the NBA world is thinking, oh, the Pacers, they tried to get 75 cents on the dollar for Paul George. Well, guess who's laughing now? We got Victor Oladipo blowing up for the Pacers, and Paul George, predictably, if you ask me, is fading back into the woodwork for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I ask you this, Jonathan, was he not a reluctant superstar when he played for the Indiana Pacers?
Yes, he was.
So what you going to be? What was going to happen to him when you put him on a team with two guys that have bigger, stronger personalities and, quite frankly, probably bigger game?
There's a number of beta personalities that we could point out. You know, there's alphas and there's betas, and there's, you know, I think that Paul George falls into that beta category as a superstar, but not necessarily a huge superstar. Very definitely big for that market in Indianapolis, that's for sure. But when it comes to Victor Oladipo, though, here's the thing that's surprising to me. Victor Oladipo, a guy that could not get shots with Russell Westbrook. And again, Westbrook is a guy that is an alpha, loves to be able to shoot the basketball, can take the bull by the horns. But Oladipo struggled with playing with Russell Westbrook. Now that he could kind of operate and do what he wants to do, Oladipo has really become a terrific contributor to this Pacers team, to the point where they're one of the biggest surprises to me in the league at 16-11 coming into tonight's game.
Let me ask you a question about all this, because I have read so many articles about how people in Indianapolis should receive Paul George tonight. Hey, he took you to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. Be appreciative of that. Celebrate him for the time he spent in Indianapolis. There are others who are saying, look, it's too fresh. There are going to be people. It's just, sports is a soap opera. We are going to get on the villains. Paul George is now a villain, so to speak. He's on the other team in Indianapolis. My philosophy is, look, as long as you don't throw things or say things that the 13-year-old 2 rows back doesn't need to hear, boo as loudly and as often as you want. That's the fun of being a fan, isn't it?
Absolutely. And those crazy fans in Indianapolis, I know that there's certain sections at Bankers Life, because I've been there before too, that will get after it. They will go after Paul George, and there will be some that will give him the respectful applause, but there's going to be some boos there, because here's a guy that even Pacers fans know that wasn't going to be there for the long haul. He says he was, but everyone's thought that he's going to be a Laker eventually anyway. So even if you're a diehard Pacer fan, you kind of knew in the back of your head that if there was an opening, George would take it.
So it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. So here's the question, Jay Hood.
Yes.
You're the Pacers, the franchise that invested a lot of time and money and effort into Paul George. And now you've got what's looking to be a pretty good deal. Victor Oladipo is finding himself. Sabonis has been terrific in spots when you don't ask him to do too much. And it's looked okay for Indiana, who's playing a lot better now than they did last year. Mm-hmm. If you're the organization, how do you welcome him back? Do you give him a little 30-second player tribute video? Do you give him a special nod over the PA, or do you just ignore him and treat him like any other opponent?
You can't do that now. You can't do that.
I think you have to do that, don't you?
The Pacers are classy.
I know they're classy, so you just don't say anything.
No, you don't do that now.
Because I'm telling you, if there's a video that shows up on that board, the kind-hearted, warm, supporting, welcoming people of traditional Midwest values Indianapolis, they're going to get ugly.
It's going to be a mixture.
They're going to get ugly.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Jeff. Don't put that out there.
There will be more boos if that video shows up than you'll hear like a tiny smattering of applause, and it'll just be overshadowed. I'm telling you, I'm reading the streets there. I've been walking the mean streets of Indianapolis lately.
I know you have.
And I'm reading the streets. I think he'll get booed every time he touches the ball, but I think it'll dissipate as the game goes on.
And there should be a 30-second video for Paul George. It should be. I think that's only right. That's. You know
what
why?
You put on the video? You put
highlights.
Big play. Oh wait, I know. We could put those game winners that he had. Oh wait, that won't work.
That's always. I always said that about the Gatorade
I know.
commercial.
We could have a split screen, and on the left side we could show all the game winners that Paul George has a Pacer, and we could show all the game winners that Victor Oladipo has had on the other side of the screen.
I always said about that Gatorade commercial where he's hitting these big shots. I go, he's only hitting big shots in commercials and not in the game. That's false advertising.
Here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, I'm having a little fun. So if you're out there, PG-13 or anybody else, Paul George is a good dude. He's not a bad person. He got into a situation that was a little bit over his head, I think. Didn't handle it the best way. He and his agent didn't handle it the best way. He'll still be a great basketball player. He's still, in my opinion, with talent, he's probably still got one of the top 15 talented games in the league, right?
Yes.
Now, does he live up to that potential all the time? Maybe not. But the talent is clearly there. He's going to have a decent NBA career. But when he makes decisions like he just made, he's never going to be an alpha anywhere, but I don't know that he was an alpha to begin with.
That's the whole thing. He was never an alpha personality. He may not, on a good team, maybe he is a number 2 option. Maybe that's the case. And again, he's having a good year. He's at 20 plus points a game. It's just that Oladipo, though, is overshadowing him with almost 25 points a game. As I mentioned, room to operate and really showing what he could do. We saw him at Indiana, but I didn't know he'd be that type of player at an NBA level. Oladipo is proving to me to be the better player than George so far this season.
Well, it's going to be interesting and fascinating to me to watch how this plays out because more so than any other sport in North America, the NBA, it's about dominant personalities. I mean, every one of these guys wants to be the alpha dog. The mold was set when Michael Jordan was doing his thing, right? Everybody wanted to be like Mike. Kobe came along, and he took that mold and made it his own. Everybody else has come along. LeBron has come on, and he's taken that mold, and he's made it his own. Everybody wants to be that next dominant guy. But there's really only 3 or 4 guys that can try to pull that off at any time.
I'm just surprised through 27 games that the Pacers are in this because I thought that with this deal that they'd be around where Charlotte, Chicago, and Atlanta is right now. But they're one of the biggest surprises that I've seen so far this year. I'm really surprised they're off to this kind of start. But Oladipo, though, is feeling good. I hope that he has his best game against the Thunder. And by the way, this also says a lot about the Thunder as well, the flip side of it. Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George on the floor together. I know sometimes it looks clunky, and they need to be able to figure out what they want to do, but Jeff, we're seeing here is a huge disconnect between the 3. Russ can't be Russ. Anthony is kind of like this guy that's standing in the corner waiting for threes, and Paul George he's scoring points, but it's a soft 20. It's not an impactful 20 on a regular basis.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
It's the right time. Hey, did I just see Bomani Jones fly by for a minute there? I might
think
have.
You did.
Yeah,
you did.
We had big meetings at ESPN today.
Oh, big.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
It was good. It was good. They were good meetings. I'm not a big meetings fan, but it was good. It is the right time with Bomani Jones. Bomani off today. You're on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. And Jonathan, I don't know if you heard, but all of our guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and that is where we find our man Royce Young today. Royce covers the Oklahoma City Thunder at ESPN.com, and they are in Indianapolis tonight. Bankers Life. They'll be taking on the Pacers. And this is the first time back to Indy for Paul George since the offseason trade. So, Royce, we know how things are going from the Indiana perspective. I've been there recently. They're looking forward in lots of different ways to seeing him tonight. How are things going for Paul George right now in Oklahoma City, all things considered?
Not super great, I would say. Is that a fair way to put that? His numbers are kind of down across the board. The team is obviously struggling. I think that right now for Paul George, he to his credit, and he's always kind of been this kind of optimistic sort of guy, but he has not said really a wrong thing yet. He put a little bit of pressure on the team, I think, in the night after their shocking loss to the Hornets at home, where he said, it's got to start getting better. But, if there's one guy that has really preached patience and sticking with it and embracing the process of trying to figure this out together, it's been Paul George. So in terms of, buy-in level and where George kind of sees the team and the potential they have, he's as bought in as anybody else. But like so many people within the walls of the organization, they want to see some improvement at some point. And the inconsistency that the team has shown to be able to be the type of team that can blow out Warriors, to also be the type of team that can get blown out by the Dallas Mavericks is pretty shocking. And certainly right now that's something that George and many of his teammates are trying to figure out.
Well, Royce, can you put your finger on the biggest issues with the Thunder? It's never going to look great out of the box because it's got so many different players and moving parts. But 12-14, can you put in the capsule why it's been such a struggle?
Look, I think to try to put your finger on one thing, I think if I could do that, then I think Sam Presti would be hiring me as his head coach right now. So I think that, to really center in on the one thing is pretty tough to do. I think the biggest things that stand out is, one, it's quite simply, Russell Westbrook has not played that great this year. And I think some of that has to do with the fit issues. Westbrook has always been the type of player that other players adjust to. He has a very distinct way of playing, very unique way of playing. But in this case, Westbrook is trying to adjust to other players, and that's outside his comfort zone. And I think you've seen it sometimes. His mid-range shots are down. His shooting percentages are down. He's not shooting well from the free throw line, which is very unlike him. And, he's really made it a point to try to be the guy to make this work. And because of that, his own play has suffered. And, if Russell Westbrook had played, let's just say 15% better, 10% better than he has throughout this season, the Thunder, instead of 12-14, they're probably like 16-10, just based on that alone. But there's a lot of other things. I mean, look, Carmelo Anthony and his fit alongside Westbrook and George is complicated math. The Thunder run a low-efficiency offense right now, and they're battling against that. They have low-efficiency players that have played a very distinct way with their certain kind of habits throughout. Billy Donovan is trying to break them of those habits to start running a high-efficiency offense, and that has been very, very challenging. And that's really the reason that, while you have a team with Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, they should not be in the bottom half of the NBA in offense, but that's right where they're at.
Royce Young covers the Oklahoma City Thunder for ESPN.com. He joins us here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So, Royce, let me play devil's advocate, but don't worry about all this stuff. It's not even Christmas yet, and you got all these new pieces and parts, and they just got to figure each other out. How legit is that, or should there be real concern?
I think there has to be real concern. Look, as somebody within the front office told me that they felt like it would take 30 games to really start to figure it out. Look, they're at 26 now. Carmelo Anthony said a couple weeks ago that after 20 games is when it would really start to come together and click. Well, it's been 26 games again. So, I think you can only use that excuse for so long before you really get a good sense of this is kind of flawed. Maybe it doesn't really work that well. And, I do think that there is something there to this team. Like I said, there's a reason that this team was able to click and blow out the Warriors, or they clicked and they absolutely obliterated the Milwaukee Bucks on the road on the second night of a back-to-back. So I think the biggest problem with this Thunder team is that they can play to a 10, and their 10 is just about as good as anybody else in the league. But unlike other teams like the Warriors or the Rockets or the Cavs or the Celtics, the other elite teams in the NBA, they don't play to a 0. The Thunder play to a 0. They can play as bad as anybody in the NBA. Those other teams, their bad night is a 4 or a 5, and that's good enough to beat most teams in the NBA. You can't expect to go out and have it every single night. The shots aren't going to go in. Open shots might not fall, whatever it might be. You can't expect, but the good teams figure out a way to win. And the Thunder, when those shots aren't going in from mid-range or wherever they're coming from, they just suddenly look really bad.
How does Carmelo Anthony look from night to night as far as their offense is concerned?
Uncomfortable is the way I would probably describe it. Melo's credit, he has certainly over the last 2.5, 3 weeks tried to adjust his game, and really, he's Donovan's asking to change the most, to take away the ball stopping, the isolation stuff. I want Melo to be more of a stretch guy that really focuses on catch and shoot. Now, there's going to be, at points, there's going to be times for isolation, and there's going to be times that they need to look to Melo and mismatch opportunities. Like that's the way they beat the Utah Jazz down the stretch. They ran a play, it got Melo in a mismatch, he isolated kind of from the mid-range, and he was able to take advantage of that, and he scored 8 points in the final 4 minutes. They're going to need that sort of stuff, and that's why the Thunder feel like they can be a really dangerous playoff team, is because they have those weapons. But just throughout the grind of the season, Melo, he's tried to make extra passes. pass. He's tried to do different things, but he's the guy that they're kind of asking to alter his game more than anyone else. And, Melo said just a week and a half ago, he's willing to sacrifice. He's happy to do it, but he did throw a caveat on the end of it. He said, as long as we're winning. And right now, the winning is not very consistent, so you do have to wonder how much longer Melo's going to stay happy.
I want to go back to something you said real quick, Royce, and I know it's probably for different reasons now than it was before. I mean, I know that, but uncomfortable. I love that word uncomfortable when it comes to Melo. Hasn't he been playing like he's uncomfortable for like going on 2 years now?
That's a great point. I mean, here's why I think that it's more uncomfortable is because if you dig into kind of the advanced stats and the metrics and everything else, there is a lot of evidence that Melo is playing differently. Now, I think one thing that's hurting Carmelo Anthony is I think he is showing his age a little bit this season, and he's not finishing in the restricted area. I think he has one dunk on the year, maybe two. He's not really rebounding the ball in the offensive glass. These were staples of Carmelo Anthony's game for a long time, and of course he's going to age. He's going to adjust his game, but he's not able to score necessarily the way that he always used to. I think the other aspect of this is Russell Westbrook's not an easy player to play alongside with, and I don't say that in a negative sense. I think a lot of people take that and say, oh, that means he's not a great player. Russell Westbrook is absolutely a great basketball player, but in terms of fitting alongside seamlessly, it takes some work, and there's certain type of players that fit better with Westbrook than others. You can see it right now with Victor Oladipo. Oladipo not a natural fit alongside Westbrook. He moves on. Oladipo is excelling in a different role in Indiana. So I think that's an element of this as well. It can work, and Westbrook can bring the best out of you, but it just might take a little bit of time to figure it out.
Royce, Jeff and I were talking about how Paul George will be received at Baker's Life tonight. How do you think that's going to go? What are your expectations for how Pacers fans feel about Paul George right now?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a heavy amount of that. That's at least what Paul George is expecting himself, and he kind of accepts it, understands it. Although he did say yesterday back in OKC before the team traveled that he kind of couched it. He said, "Hey, I'll be booed. I understand that." And he said, but then he put in, "For whatever reason, I'll be booed." So I think even he kind of wonders, like, should I really be booed? But look, he talked about it this morning after shoot around. He kind of sees it that he did the Pacers a favor by telling them his intentions. They were able to get players like Oladipo and Sabonis. But at the same time, there's always going to be a sense of betrayal when a star player wants to leave a franchise that he helped kind of grow over the last nearly decade. So, fans are going to greet Paul George in the natural way. It's kind of the guttural, instinctual thing for a fan to do. When a former player comes back that left on unseemly terms, they boo him. And I don't think it'll be vicious. I don't think it'll be vitriolic or anything, but Paul George is definitely going to hear it.
Royce, always good to talk to you. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Royce Young, ESPN.com, covers the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Jonathan Hood. Along with Jonathan Hood, I'm Jeff Rickard here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. Happy to have you along. Jay Hood. It's been at least a couple of weeks since we've seen each other.
That's exactly right. We got plenty to talk about before we are done tonight. 3 hours of fun with Jeff Rickard. You know what? That's my kind of thing when it comes to Hanukkah Wednesday, spending time with you.
It's trending. Hanukkah. Oh, yeah. Hanukkah, fun with Jeff Rickard. It's all over the internet right now. You can't get away from that. Hey, happy to have you all along today. We're going to be looking forward to speaking with all of you as we move along today at 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance. And we've got lots of great guests for you today. They'll all appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. So, Jonathan, let's get right to it. Little NBA. I know you and I are both big-time NBA hoop heads. And last night, you had the Lakers and the Knicks. And granted, it was not Showtime versus, I don't know, pick any iteration of the last 3 decades that you want to choose from the Knicks. But people were paying attention. It was a Tuesday night. TVs were on. People were looking at it. And it still doesn't quite deliver, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's not the same. But here's the thing that I can take solace in. What I saw, Jeff, last night is just, you're seeing young teams develop. All right, it's a 10-16 team against a 14-13 team. But what I take out of it, because it's the NBA, is that you're looking forward to seeing what the next big thing is. That's what sports is for me, is that we know who the established stars are, but who are the stars of tomorrow? And watching the Lakers and the Knicks, I saw a lot of stars for tomorrow. I enjoyed watching what the Lakers could be and what the Knicks could be.
Well, of course, the backdrop last night, you have Porzingis, who's young and upcoming, and then you got the rookie LeVar Ball, and he's in the news for all the wrong reasons, mostly because of his dad. And he's been, look, LeVar Ball and his sons, I guess, two are off to Lithuania now. So we're looking at our guy last night who's just trying to get his groove on and play point guard. And here's his dad, LeVar, who's just always going and going and going. And it has something to do with something all the time. He's one of those guys, and you know these guys, there's always something going on. They're never really in trouble, but there's just always something happening, right? Yeah. And it's never good. So the Lakers have asked LeVar Ball can you take it back a notch? Can you just chill? Any chance whatsoever that he listens to the Lakers and says, yeah, man, I can cool it off for a little while?
No, it's not happening. And you know what? There's guys like LeVar Ball in my family. I think most families have maybe that one person that just loves to talk. You can hear him from miles away. Someone's jovial, loves to be able to talk. With LeVar Ball, a lot of it is tongue in cheek. A lot of it is loud and boisterous. He's a lout. He doesn't mind being in the spotlight. But, for me, he could be whoever he wants to be. I'm just concerned about his kids, all three of them. Because with Lonzo Ball, it's not about on the floor. It's about whether or not that his dad's overshadowing what Lonzo could be. Same thing with his other two kids is going to play in Lithuania. So for me, Jeff, I know who he is. I've seen guys like that in my family, friends that were just loud just to be heard. I'm just hoping that he doesn't overshadow what their kids could be on the basketball floor.
How'd you like to be Jello, by the way? Hey, I got to meet with you guys. You know how you're going to take road trips to like Tucson and Phoenix and Seattle? Yeah, you guys are going to Lithuania now.
Yes.
I bet they were so excited. So, look, LeVar Ball, we all know who he is, what he talks about, what's been going on, right? There's something new all the time. He was talking with our own Coley Harvey about whether or not he might be the Father of the Year candidate. At least Coley was talking about him.
Are you concerned about them wanting you to not be as outspoken?
You know what? That's what y'all saying. But behind closed doors, man, we got a great communication, man. People going to try to twist what I'm saying, what they saying. But it's not going to happen because we're going to get these W's. Here we come.
He's turned his attention to W's now. We're not talking about shoes or Lithuania or getting kids out of jail in China with the help of the president of the United States. It's about W's. It's about W's now.
Yeah, that's all. He's just a guy that's a carnival barker that just says, step right up. The guy that's at the circus, Jeff, that just says, hey, step right up. Yeah, you can win a prize. You can win millions of dollars. That's what he is. He's just trolling everybody. Yeah, listen, when you watch him speak, it's usually with a smile on his face because he knows that he's just trying to he's like full hyperbole, just continues just to want to get that attention. And really, it's not about him. It's about his kids.
Well, Ramona Shelburne, who knows the Lakers and the NBA as well as anybody, senior writer for ESPN.com, she was on Golic and Wingo this morning, and the guys asked her about what is the current status. Like, I wonder if this was like a Facebook status. What would the relationship be like between LeVar Ball and the Lakers?
The Lakers essentially said to him, hey, man, you got to tone it down when we're talking about the criticism of the coach and other players. We want you to be able to say whatever you want to say. You're a private citizen. We knew what we were doing when we were drafting you. We knew who you were. The Lakers are one of those teams that are sort of they like the drama, right? It's L.A. In Hollywood, like the worst that you can be is boring. So they're fine with all of it as long as you still play well on the court. But when you say negative stuff about your teammates and the coach, it does create a negative atmosphere. And so what they asked him was just keep it positive. And if you have something negative to say, come to us first before you talk to the media. And last night when I asked LeVar about it, he said, yeah, that's about right. That's about right. I mean, don't get it twisted, though. This was a really good thing that they talked to me, and I felt really good about that. And the lines of communication were open. But I'm still going to say what I'm going to say.
When was the last time a professional franchise had to go to some player's dad and go, dude, we got to talk? I don't remember that. Do you?
I don't either. The only similarity would be the Williams sisters, and that's just tennis. That's not even a team. It's a
But we haven't heard from
girls.
Richard for years and years. Once they became full-fledged adults, we really didn't hear from him all that much.
Well, they kind of X'd him out of their life.
They took care of it themselves.
Well, yeah, because it's smart marketing. It's like, for us to grow, we have to make sure that dad's in the backdrop, and that's actually a good thing. I will not allow LeVar Ball to overshadow my enjoyment of the NBA. Locally in Chicago, they asked me, did you want to talk to LeVar Ball? I turned the interview down, Jeff. Turn it down.
Because what relevance would he have to basketball in Chicago?
Well, just the idea of just having him on, because you know why? Because all he wants to do is argue and push his brand. And I already know the Big Baller brand. We all know what it is, but my focus is not on him. As a matter of fact, it's not even on Lonzo. It's on Kyle Kuzma. He's the better player. He's got his head down, scoring 19 points last night. He just gives you a consistent effort, and Ball's the guy that's sometimes is struggling. So, I mean, for the Lakers, from their standpoint, they could either continue to deal with this or cut out the problem. And the problem would be if the father's overshadowing Lonzo Ball, then Lonzo won't be with the team for the long haul. That's how I see it.
Look, at the end of the day, if this was any other guy, LeVar has his kid, right? And if his son was just a run-of-the-mill NBA top 10 rookie, he'd kind of be quietly finding his way through the league. But instead, because of his dad, people are dissecting every quarter that he plays. Was this a good pass? Should he pass more? How bad is his shot? Is that little hitch in his shot going to affect everything? It's given him no opportunity to just kind of naturally find his place in the NBA.
When you have a boisterous father like that, that's what happens. And it's really unfair for Lonzo in that regard.
I feel bad for the young man. I'll be honest with you. He didn't do anything to ask for this.
What about his other kids? They're not going to be coached by Sarunas Marciulionis. What about them? They're going to be in Lithuania by themselves, pretty much.
Can you extradite
the same team?
Can you extradite a United States citizen from Lithuania to China if things go badly? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend. Can we get a legal expert to weigh in on that? We got any lawyers listening right now?
Yes.
Can you do that?
I mean, how's that going to work, Jeff? Really, seriously.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know. Oh man. So they had this meeting. They've asked him to move on. Next thing you know, he's saying, it's all about the W's. It's just all about the W's.
Okay, great. Well, as long as
he's a team player now.
Well, that's good. But it's unfortunate that he has already criticized Luke Walton, criticized the coaching staff, saying they don't know how to coach my son. That's not about coaching.
Now he can make
That's
it
about ability.
I want to see him courtside next to Jack, wearing nothing but a Luke Walton classic NBA jersey. That'd be good. It'll all be good at that point in time.
I just, I think that we're missing the point here. I think the point is that you have two of your sons in Lithuania. Go up there. That way you're never a story here in the United States. Just stay up there with the other two kids.
He's going to own Lithuania media by the time it's done.
Yes. They won't understand anything you're saying, but you can say whatever you want. I think that would be best for the Lakers, for him to just stay with his other two sons.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Paul George, PG-13, make
those players look good, and vice versa.
Look, I grew up in Denver, and so I got to watch John Elway. And as I grew up, and one of my first major jobs was being a beat reporter for the Denver Broncos. And Rodgers is like Elway version 2. Like I even have come to think that he might even be a little bit better than Elway because he takes better care of the football than John did. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this, with those two guys, the parallel is no matter who's on the field, to your point, no matter who's on the field, you just always feel like you're going to win the football game.
Yeah, and that's a great feeling because there's only several quarterbacks in the NFL we can say that about for sure. One is Rodgers, the other one is Brady. The other ones, I don't know if you can say that about Big Ben every Sunday, can you?
Not anymore. I mean, I like him. I'd still have him on my team if that's what I could get, but I don't know. Yeah, Cam is kind of an up and down guy these days, right?
See, we don't. I mean, same thing with Drew Brees. There was a time with the New Orleans Saints, though, Jeff, that you thought, man, with that offense, they can outscore anybody.
They're going to score 35 every night. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's the case all the time with Drew Brees, as much as I can say that with Rodgers and Brady.
Who else can you think of? Randall Cunningham was like this somewhat for a while too, and that. Just the dynamic of one guy could completely carry your offense by just the crazy things that he would do. Not in the calculated, we're going to run the play better than they run it, but the play's going to break down and anything crazy can happen at any time.
At the quarterback spot?
Yeah. On a sustained basis. Like we saw RG3 in his rookie season do that for like 12 games, right? And then that was it.
For a couple of years, you could say that about Michael Vick, could you not?
Yeah, I think you could. The 1 year he had in Philadelphia when he didn't turn the ball over. was unbelievable.
But of course,
in Atlanta, he was. You're right. He was dancing, and who knows what was going to happen.
But of course, with those same quarterbacks, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting a Lombardi Trophy, because the best quarterbacks that have that type of connection of, or that combination of running the football and being able to pass it down the field, those are the ones that are usually the most successful.
Usually. Give us your thoughts on the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed at ESPN Radio. You can find Jonathan at TweetHood. You can find me at Rickard on Sports. We're in for Bomani Jones today. It's the right time on ESPN Radio. In a moment, we turn our attention to Major League Baseball. You know, they got the winter meetings going on in places that are far warmer than they are in Bristol, Connecticut right now. I can promise you that.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Why is it so popular in Major League Baseball now that unless you are truly, truly one of the 5 or 6 largest markets in baseball, you get a couple good years out of your young stud and then you just trade them off for parts?
I hate that, because in the other sports that we cover, in the NBA and the National Football League, there's always at least one star we can look at per market. In Major League Baseball, maybe not.
I used to think that there were some guys that would be, if not with one team their entire career, at least they'd be hanging out for the salad years of their career, right? Like, at least in St. Louis, the Cardinals got more than a decade out of Albert Pujols before the price just got too high and the return on the investment was clearly not going to be there. And I understood that. It would have been nice to see Pujols retire as a St. Louis Cardinal, but it just wasn't in the cards, no pun intended. And now you got, it's a disaster. Did you hear Levitard just completely go off on the Marlins the other day in Derek Jeter?
Absolutely. I have been the last couple of days. And you know what? He's 100% right.
He's 1,000% right. Why should anybody in Miami be a baseball fan for the Marlins? What has that team, what has that franchise done? Except that every time they do get to be successful, every time they do win a World Series, they tear the team apart the next year. And it doesn't seem to matter who owns the team. We used to blame Jeffrey Loria. Now you can blame Derek Jeter. He's the face of the franchise now.
Well, if Rob Manfred really wants to put a stamp on his commissionership, if that's a word, for Major League Baseball, you pull that trade back. Just like David Stern did with Chris Paul a couple of years ago, you stopped that trade for baseball reasons. Seriously. And I understand that the Marlins want to be able to pare back payroll again. Stanton did have the no trade, but there's other teams that he could have chosen over the Yankees. The Yankees were good as is, but then having Stanton part of that mix now is going to put him over the top more than likely. But what does that do for Marlins fans? And I know that there are baseball fans will say, well, what Marlins fans? It's always empty in that new stadium. Well, you're trying to build something, and Stanton could have been the guy you can build with. And for them to fire the play-by-play guy before Thanksgiving, for them to get rid of payroll, to try to do new things, it's not fair for a team with a new stadium, and then from there, just starting over from scratch. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to lose over 100 games, and somehow they're going to try to build this thing like they have in the past, and then pare back payroll again.
Why not? That's what we've come to expect.
They've done it twice.
They've done 3 times.
Yeah.
This is the 3rd time. This is a third complete. Somebody said, I wish I could remember who said this, but no, it was the super agent Scott Boras said earlier today that Miami has become a pawn shop. That's all they are, a pawn shop. So now you have the Baltimore Orioles. Who is their brightest young talent over the last 3-4 years? Who is it?
Manny Machado.
Manny Machado. Now they're fielding offers for Manny Machado. Why are you giving your fans? Look, at some point, I never agreed with it, getting back to what we were talking about with tanking for draft picks. It seems to have worked out in large part for the Houston Astros. Sure, they completely throw away 4 seasons, parts of 4, to get all those draft picks. And, they're playing pretty good baseball now. They win a World Series. Fine. It worked out. I get that. I didn't enjoy the process, though. I think the process is just, I'm full of the process. I've had it with the process. It goes against everything you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be about competing and winning.
Absolutely.
And don't give me any of this nonsense about long-term strategies. That's just part of the game. No. You're supposed to win. As a professional athlete, professional organization, you're supposed to win.
Well, but then there's the other side that says this is the right formula to go, and they can use the Astros and the Cubs as examples.
Great.
And I don't like it.
Call me back in 4 years when you guys are ready, and I'll be a fan again.
All right. Well, when it comes to Manny Machado and the Orioles, so you have a couple of ways to look at this. Either you continue to try to build and try in the American League East, or you fire Buck Showalter. See, if you fire Buck Showalter, Jeff, you're in the World Series and maybe winning it, because that's how it works for Buck. See, usually when he gets fired from someplace, the next year the team is successful. So I think that if you fire Buck Showalter and have Machado on the team, then maybe you can get over the hump, because I think that that's what you need to do. That's the formula. Fire Showalter, win the World Series. It's happened before.
This
Twice,
happened
I
before,
believe.
and it's probably happened in many other ways, even before us. It's the right time. Brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Baseball meetings are going on down in Florida. Everybody's down at the baseball meetings, which is kind of like, there's wheeling, there's dealing, there are people trying to get jobs. You name it. Have you ever been to a baseball winter meeting?
No.
Dude,
Are you kidding me?
is like, did you ever see any of the James Bond movies with Pierce Brosnan?
Yes.
Okay, remember, I think it was the second one. He starts off at the very beginning of the show, and he's at the Arms Bazaar somewhere in the mountains of the Ural Mountains in Russia or something like that. You ever see that one?
I have.
That's exactly what it's like at the winter meetings. Sans the parkas. There's no parkas, but everybody's got this guy up for trade, or I want to be a general manager, or how about taking this guy on as an assistant general manager? I mean, even minor league baseball teams, everybody who is under the age of 24, who just got out of broadcasting school, that wants to do play-by-play Major League Baseball, they're down there begging for jobs from the minor league baseball team. It's good stuff. It's literally a job market down there.
Well, as far as with the Marlins firing Rich Walls, I think they can probably hire a 22, 23-year-old, because that's how much payroll they have to.
I figure they got 2 prospects back from the Twins for Rich. I didn't know what was going on there.
It's just a mess. I do like the winter meetings from afar, reading about it. I don't want to be in a stuffy hotel.
You should go at least once.
Outside.
You should go at least once. And by the way, if you're going to go there, do it right. You get a hotel room, you might have to pay a little more than you normally would. But do it right for at least 2 days and just live it up, man. Just live it up for 2 days.
Well, I'm going to be a fake scout. If I have to do all that, then I'm going to be a scout. That's what I'm going to do.
There are a lot of fake scouts there too, believe me.
I'm going to be one of those guys.
There's a lot of everything there.
That way I can get the information. See, that's how I do it. And I'll bring it, and then I can send the information to you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
In for Bomani today, Jonathan Hood. I'm Jeff Rickard. Thanks so much for being a part of what we're doing on ESPN Radio. It's presented by Progressive Insurance and all of our guests on the Right Time of year via the show Pennzoil Performance Line. So, Jonathan, I got a question for you. You are an NBA. You and I talked about this earlier. We're both kind of hoop heads, right? We love the NBA.
Yes.
A couple of great games last night. Well, interesting game. I won't say great. Interesting games. They came down to the end, as many NBA games do. We already talked about the Knicks and what they had going on.
The Lakers.
And the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Also last night, Sixers beat the Timberwolves. Sixers were on the road in Minnesota. They went at 118-112. The Timberwolves, they scored 12 points at home in that game. So here's my question, Jay Hood. Who would you rather have moving forward? The Sixers' young core or the Timberwolves' young core moving forward?
Coming into the season, I was really thrilled about the Timberwolves having some veterans around Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins. And I thought this is going to really work out pretty well. And I thought the Sixers and that whole trust the process thing, I agree with you that I was not into the trust the process thing, because I don't believe in tanking. I don't believe in just, making your fans wait for a winner. But I really am impressed so far from what I see the Sixers. If I had my druthers, I would take that Sixers roster over the Wolves right now.
Here's the thing about the Sixers, and I'm with you. And 2 things. At the beginning of the year, I also would have said the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I'll be honest with you. I heard this discussion elsewhere the other day, and I thought they were dead on. I don't know how much better has Karl Anthony Towns got since he got there? How much better have they been able to make Andrew Wiggins his first couple of years there? I'm not sure that they've gotten significantly better. You expect that great young talent between years 1 and 2, and then again between years 2 and 3 in some cases, gets a lot better. Those are the 2 key years of development. Would we agree on that?
Absolutely.
How much better have they gotten from where they were to begin with, though?
I think Karl Anthony Towns is solid for what he is. I don't see the growth in Wiggins. And I think if you ask Tom Thibodeau in a very private moment. I think that instead of paying Wiggins, he probably would have traded Wiggins, because there's a guy that's not desirous to guard anybody. It's the team in general, but it's just Wiggins. I just think that there might be upside with him on the offensive side of the ball, Jeff, but I just think that it just goes to show you that when you try to put these quote-unquote super teams together, or multi-talented teams, by adding a Teague, a Butler, a Taj Gibson, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. We talked earlier about Oklahoma City, the same issues that they have, where it's very talented on paper, but how do you make it all work? I know that Tom Thibodeau is not getting any sleep at night, seeing how his ball club on a night-by-night basis is giving up 100 or more points, because the hallmark of a Thibodeau team is to get it done defensively first, and the T-Wolves are not doing any of that.
You know, I am not a medical expert, although I am a student of the body and how it works and all those kinds of things. But there are two guys in sports that worry me on a daily basis when I watch them compete. One is Tanaka from the New York Yankees. Like, I wouldn't say in fear, but I worry that every time I watch the Yankees and he's pitching, that the next pitch is going to be the one that busts the tendon wide open, right? Because it never, look, ligaments and tendons don't heal themselves. They don't heal up. At some point, the tears, you would think, and maybe I don't understand this correctly, at some point you feel like maybe it's going to give. And I worry about that. Maybe without basis. A doctor could call us up next and say, Rickard, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. But the other guy I worry about every time I watch him play, because I love watching him play, is Joel Embiid. I'm worried that every time he comes down out with a rebound, that's going to be the next injury. And that's probably wrong, but I'm not going to lie. That's what I generally feel when I watch these guys.
I watched him last night, and he was on the bench. I think it was before the overtime period, and he was holding his back. And I'm thinking, man, is he put together with, tongue depressors and Elmer's glue? I mean, what is his body made of? I know that he's
Doug
strong.
Moe, the old coach of the Spurs and Nuggets and Sixers, used to go, oh, he's a paper tissue athlete. And I worry that Joel Embiid is a paper tissue athlete. Nothing wrong with his mental makeup, nothing wrong with his character, but you wonder if his body is built to hold up under the stress of an NBA season.
I think we should reveal the truth about Trust the Process right now on the right time. Here is the truth about the process. You know what the process is? Joel Embiid's the process. It's not Holmes, it's not Saric, it's not
Okafor.
It's not Simmons. It's Embiid. That's the trust in Embiid.
But it was going to be all those guys. That was the point of the process, was to have all those guys.
No, that's not CJR. Again, you're missing it. It's Embiid. That's the whole gimmick. It's not about all those guys.
To get the once in a generation player is what the process was about. Yes, I get that.
That's it.
But people were getting greedy. They're like, oh, look at all these generational guys.
Yeah, that's it. It's about Embiid. And because without Embiid, the Sixers aren't even 14-13. That guy is special. But when you see him in a league in which it's about 3-point shooting, it's shoot as far as possible, here's Embiid giving you quality moves on the inside and can knock down a three if you asked him to. That guy's a special talent. Without him, the Sixers, there is no process. There's nothing. It's just a team.
All right, we're going to open up the phone lines for a few minutes here, and we're going to talk some movies coming up in a minute. 888-729-3776, 888-SAY-ESPN, the number to call. By the way, unlock the smoothness of Larceny Bourbon today. Think wisely, drink wisely. Larceny Bourbon, Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume. We're going to start by going to Johnny from Georgia here as we open up the lines here. Johnny, I know we were talking NFL a little while ago. What's on your brain?
Yeah, I think that Belichick can't succeed without Brady. You see what he did in 2008 with Matt Castle. And Jay Hood, you're a Chicago guy. Have you seen Shea McClellin play this good outside of any other system? So he can take lesser players and do really good things with them.
Man, you're so right about that. You're so right. McClellan was a bust in Chicago. There's no two ways about that. And I think it's very difficult to just label people, for after a few years, but he just did not play well. Look at him now in this system. There's a guy, you're totally right. He goes to the Patriots and look at how he's paying dividends for that New England team. You're so right about that.
So I want to take one issue with something you said about Belichick, though, too. Look, I know that Brady missed most of 1 year, right? And we all know that Matt Castle came in and did his thing, and they missed the playoffs, right? Which is unheard of for the New England Patriots. They won 10 games, Jonathan. They didn't just fall apart. They won 10 games. They narrowly missed the playoffs. And if that was your system moving forward, something tells me Bill Belichick would figure out how to get 11 wins out of Matt Castle the next year.
But Yeah, but now, what about 2017? Let's fast forward to 2017. What if there is no Tom Brady and you traded Garoppolo?
Forever. He's going to play forever.
I think that to see Belichick in the post-Brady era, I think that the best shot was when Garoppolo was there. When he was traded, I think that's over. I just threw the caveat out there just for fun about saying whether or not he would go back home, quote unquote, to the Giants. But I can't see Belichick coaching after Brady if there's no Brady.
How many more seasons of Brady do you think there are? I think there are at least 2 after this one. Otherwise, they don't get rid of Garoppolo.
2 that's a good number. 2 sounds good.
And for all the people who are freaking out over the Dolphins game, they've never played well in Miami. I mean, he's had a couple of games like that in Miami. Mm-hmm. They're 6-8 in the Tom Brady era in Miami. So one poor performance in Miami, that's standard. I'm not too worried about that overall. You look at the games before that; it was terrific.
I've sent a tweet out to Josina to find out what brand of chips that she was eating.
Oh, you're into that?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm into chips. Absolutely.
I was getting hungry. Just listening to I was trying to focus on questions, but I was getting hungry. It's been a while since lunch.
I was still waiting to get an answer. I wanted to tweet out a picture at us of the chips that she was eating. Because I am into it, yes.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Jonathan Hood, Jeff Rickard, and Chewy in for Bomani Jones today on The Right Time on ESPN Radio. And, of course, it will open nationwide tomorrow in some places, Friday everywhere. And I'm not going to lie, I have grown up with the entire Star Wars franchise. I was just a little kid when the first one came out. Coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Unbelievable. And every single one that comes out, even the first episodes 1, 2, and 3, not my favorite, but I like them still. I don't know about you, Jay Hood. I know you're not a big Star Wars guy. I can't wait. I got the whole family. We've had reserved tickets for the 6 p.m. matinee at the local theater on Friday, and my kids cannot stop talking about it. We've been watching the old movies all week. We've been staying up late. It's been fantastic. And you know who I brought? Because I know you're not into it. So that's okay. I brought my man from the Undefeated in, Clinton Yates.
What up?
Because he's like me. Clinton, is it fair to say you two are geeking over episode 8?
I am a hardcore fan. Those of you who have listened to me on ESPN Radio before know this. I was the kind of kid in high school. I volunteered at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum.
You're a DC kid. Yep.
Yes. Display. They had an exhibit that was there for a while, and that's where I did my community service in high school. So
nice.
So I am a serious Star Wars fan. I'm all the way angry though because I was supposed to go to a press preview on Monday, but I didn't because I ended up covering the winter meetings. So
you got to go to the circus that is the winter meetings.
We'll talk about that later. But I was supposed to see the press preview, did not. So all of my other friends have seen it. And I'm sitting here like a dork.
Now, I have been watching old clips, Jonathan. I've been watching press interviews with Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and anybody else I can listen to, except for last Friday, I started I'm not looking at anything to do with Star Wars on the internet because I don't want any inkling of anything that's going to happen.
I'm going to watch it. Okay, Rickard, I'm going to watch it.
I'll buy your ticket.
You know what? No, I don't need it.
You can come with me and the family.
I already got it, man.
You got your man JJ
I'll put
on the
you
corner.
between the 8-year-old and the 9-year-old.
No, bro. I already got it, man. I got the bootleg. I got a bean pie and tube socks. So I'm all good. I'm gonna wrap it open like, Thursday or Friday. When I get to it, I'll watch it.
What are you going to do when you go, man, that's cool?
Yeah, but first, you got to tie into the bean pie first.
Why don't you like Star Wars, Hood?
No, I don't mind Star Wars.
Are you just not a huge fan?
No, I saw it in 1977. That was good enough. That was pretty good. That New Hope, tight.
What were you, like 6 months old?
I saw it as a kid. It was pretty
cool. I love
it,
man. So the thing is that I have a take on this. I'll be clear. Is that Rogue One changed a lot of the universe for me because people don't realize this. Rogue One was a story. It's not an episode. There's no crawl. There's no music.
They tie it in the last 60 seconds.
But what I'm saying is that technically in the concept of the canon of the stories, it's a story. It's a Z-axis situation. And so for me, that was, it suddenly opened up a new world where I was like, I don't know that I really care that much about these Skywalkers and Palpatines. You know what I mean? Take me deeper into the universe where nobody has the Force. There are no lightsabers. There's just people fighting. That was a great action movie, Rogue One was. And I think it was the best one. I mean, it doesn't really, if you're going to go story versus episode, it obviously doesn't really count. But there's an element of I'm not going to say lack of enthusiasm, but this is a different movie now than what it was going into Rogue One. It was just it's two very different things, and I'm sort of iffy on what I'm expecting now.
I fully don't believe my life has been fully experienced until I actually pilot an X-Wing. That's really all I want to do in life. I got 2 great kids, so that's going well.
Yeah.
The only thing that's left for me to
you
do
ever
now.
Built the models?
I've been to Super Bowls, World Series. I've broadcast all of them. I've been everywhere. All I want to do is fly an X-Wing.
Help you again? Yes.
Yoda. Hot take.
Sounds like my ex.
Was that actually Yoda or was that Jonathan?
It's my ex.
Good. Oh my God. So I'm going to see this.
Is that you, Brenda?
Yeah.
I hear you, girl.
I'm going to see this movie, but because it's been, and this is going to sound real jerky, but it's been a while since I went to the theater with like a regular paying crowd to see this film. And I'm not really sure I'm ready for that, because I'll tell you this. In Rogue One, I saw that movie with probably 15 other people, and I was like being real obnoxious in the movie theater. Like at the end, when they first get to board the breakoff shuttle or whatever, and I go, yo, and I just started yelling, and I grabbed, because you realize what's happening and the way it ties in, and I just started yelling and like grabbing my buddy David Betancourt, who writes for the Washington Post, and I was just going off, and I don't know what it's going to be like to be in a theater with other people. It's been a while since I did that, so I'm kind of excited. It's a bit of a throwback for me in this way.
I'm looking forward. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait. So the other night, my 8-year-old and I are watching videos. I'm downstairs on the computer, and I'm like, hey, let's watch the trailer together. He's getting all excited. So he says, okay, Dad, I'll be there in a minute. I'm doing something. I'm like, okay, great. He comes down. We start watching this. Then he wants to see a scene from episode 2, and then he wants to see this and that. So like for 45 minutes, my 8-year-old and I are just jumping around YouTube watching different scenes or whatever. I go back upstairs. You know what he was doing upstairs before he came down for 45 minutes? Busted a gallon of milk open on the floor with Rice Krispies and sugar everywhere, and the little dude didn't say anything to me while we were downstairs watching 45 minutes of trailers. And then I get back up there. There's we have a little rug that's underneath the kitchen table, just soaked in milk and Rice Krispies. I'm like, dude, what happened?
He was running interference.
He goes, I was afraid you'd get mad at me, Dad. I just wanted to watch the Star Wars movies.
That's a good move. That's a solid kid move. Dude, it's easy to get down a rabbit hole with a lot of Star Wars flicks. For those of you who are not avid fans, there's a great video on YouTube that is the top 10 lightsaber fights in the history of the episodes, and it's all of them. You can watch them all in full. It is a great video.
You're right, because there's a rabbit hole out there. I know Jonathan has been there many times, it sounds like.
Yeah, let's leave my college years out of it, though.
All right.
Wow. I'm looking forward to this film, though, man.
I am, too.
It's really sad, though, because of, Carrie Fisher. There's that element, too, which...
Well, no Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher.
Well, makes that...
Although she shot her scenes for this movie already.
Right, but I'm saying, as a larger, the posthumous deal, there's an emotional element to this movie that I think is probably going to be, for older fans, the bigger part of the draw.
So I got a question for you while you're in here. You're a DC guy. I know you're just down at the winter meetings. Look, we all know kind of what the situation in Major League Baseball is right now. The Marlins are having a fire sale. Scott Boras called it the pawn shop of professional sports now. But for your guy in your town, Bryce Harper, Yankees maybe aren't so much of an automatic landing spot now. Does he stay? To me, why doesn't he stay in D.C. for a long time?
Most fans believe that he's gone simply because the team's not good enough. I mean, they're a good squad, but he is a literal generational talent where if he's got a chance to make all that money and go somewhere else where they're probably better, even though you don't necessarily want to admit that.
I got a headline I got just now, breaking news from a headline. Bryce Harper and the Nationals have started preliminary extension talks.
Okay. I mean, that's fine.
Like literally just now.
Yeah, no. The talks are going to happen. I never thought it was going to be the Yankees, to be clear. I thought it was going to be the Dodgers or the Angels. The Halos are the kind of team. The Halos are the kind of team that will throw $500 million at somebody for no reason. You know what I mean? Even though their payroll is already ridiculous. And I think he wants to be on the West Coast. He's a Vegas kid. I think it'll be the Dodgers, or I think it'll be one of the LA teams. And people have talked about Philly as well. I don't necessarily know that the Yankees are the first fit for him. That's sort of the old narrative, but now that they've got the situation with Stanton, he is a
left-handed hitting bat.
You barely have a place to play Stanton in the outfield. Where are you going to play Bryce?
Oh, I'll figure it out.
I mean, I would too.
I'll figure it out,
I'm just saying I don't know.
So, Jonathan, I'll be honest with you. I've always felt like if it's not the Nationals, it's the Cubs.
I think the Cubs would love to have a player like that. I always look at, for me, like Bryce Harper to me is the face of baseball for me. Some will look at Trout, but I think that Harper's the guy, and I love him being in that market. I want Major League Baseball to be able to have stars that I can be able to watch when I want to and say, that's the face of that team, that's the face of that team. But I think that him being in that market matters. He doesn't have to be the Yankees or Chicago or Los Angeles. Washington is just fine for me.
This is an excellent point because he's basically the entire identity of what the Nats are at this stage. And that's not just from a national point of view, Hood. I mean, that is how people feel in town. Sure, Jason Worth is there. Sure, they had Dusty. Sure, there's a history there. But basically, the modern era of the Nationals franchise is Bryce Harper from a fan standpoint. And that's, I think, a larger loss than anything. The baseball is obviously important, but who are you if you don't have that guy? Okay, Tony Rendon becomes a star. You know what I mean?
Some guys have star quality and some guys don't.
You know what I mean?
And above the talent, Bryce Harper's got star quality.
Yeah,
it exudes off of him, right?
He's absolutely a star. And I think you're right about that, Hood. If they lose that guy in my town, it's a bigger blow than just on the baseball field.
Man, that's crazy.
Absolutely. And again, we can always find stars in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago, guys. We could find that. But being in Washington matters, where I can get to that game early, that early game, and say, hey, it's the Nationals playing, and I can see the best player in baseball for my money in Bryce Harper in that town. I like it.
Yeah.
So what about these rumors that he and Chris Bryant are such good friends that they'd love to play together?
Well, I'll tell you this, that Anthony Rizzo is not going to be in Chicago forever. He's 28. And if you know Theo Epstein, he always likes to look at players. If you are 30 and over, there's really not a lot of value for Epstein. He likes to have younger players. So I think that from that championship team, the first to go could be Rizzo at some point. If it's not this year, it could be next year, from what we understand.
Last thing for both of you guys, right? So Yahoo Sports has obtained this physical on Shohei Ohtani that says he's got a damaged collateral ligament in his pitching elbow.
Oh!
Now, is that like Tanaka damaged? Is that more than Tanaka damaged? What is that? I don't even know what that means right now.
I mean, that sounds non-healthy is what that is. Wow.
I'm just throwing it out there, right? Those are the details.
Put that on the bottom. Let's put that on the bottom line. Clinton Yates calls it non-healthy.
I mean, that's what it is. Dr. Yates, analysis. Diagnosis.
They're calling it a low-grade sprain, but still could be an issue down the road, which sounds like Tanaka to me, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Oh,
every time I said this earlier, Clint, every time I watch Tanaka pitch, love the guy watching him pitch, but I'm always afraid this pitch is going to be the one.
Blow it all out, yeah.
Oh, see, when keeping it real goes wrong. And I appreciate that the Angels want to be able to catch up with the Dodgers and being a team that matters in that town in Los Angeles. But man, I mean, that would not be good if you can't get the maximum out of that player, because he could have been a Cub, he could have been a Dodger, a couple of places he could have been, but the Angels,
Mariners are high on him too,
stepped right in there. Yeah, but now look. So that's, hopefully it'll work out for him.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.